Today we are sharing the ultimate IKEA hack. This is how to get a high-end closet
on a budget, which is my favorite thing.
Hey everyone, this is Lindy.
And I'm Russell.
From Love Create Celebrate. Welcome back to our channel. Today we are doing an ultimate IKEA hack. We are taking PAX wardrobes and making them look like built-ins.
It's a really simple project. Once you have your PAX units installed, all you need is some MDF molding, caulking, spackling, and paint.
We'll also show you a couple of other tricks, like how to put a PAX unit where you have a slanted ceiling, and how to fill in the gaps when the PAX units aren't quite large enough to fill your closet space. If you watched our last video, we mentioned we were doing an IKEA hack. This is actually not that hack. We have another one coming, so if you don't want to miss that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. But today we are focusing on our closet. Okay, get to work.
My turn.
Thanks so much to DAP Canada for sponsoring this project and providing all the supplies to get it completed. Before we jump into the actual DIY on how we did the custom trim work, we'll give you a history of where we started with this closet. When we first moved into the house, we actually narrowed the doorway just so that we could use a sliding barn door, and then we added 3 PAX units. Then, when we moved on to adding our ensuite, we actually moved the whole wall forward, so we got rid of that opening and added 2 pocket doors, and we could add another PAX unit and a custom built-in. That brings us to this video. You can see here what we kind of started with, and now the final steps are to add some trim and finish it off. One of the issues that we ran into with putting PAX units in this closet space was our slanted roof. So the PAX units are big rectangles, and if you were to put them tight against the roof, they would have come up to like here. So we actually cut a big triangle out of the back of the PAX units to make them fit flush against the wall and try to maximize the space. I found the easiest way to customize the PAX unit was to actually build the whole unit first, then I cut the piece out of the back with the track saw, and when I put it all back together, I had a perfect fit in the closet. Another thing we did with our PAX units is we added this little built-in. Otherwise, you would have had this space either in between here or against the wall that would have just been used for nothing. So this was just some white melamine board from our hardware store that we turned into a little custom built-in in between the 2 PAX units. To give this closet that built-in custom look, I'm gonna add moldings to all these faces so that you don't see any of the seams, and that will really polish it and make it look not like an IKEA system, although the IKEA looks really good by itself, just this kind of brings it to the next level. I also need to finish some of the moldings around the door and just on the baseboards, and as well fix a couple electrical outlets just to bring them up to the other aesthetics into the room from things I just didn't finish from our other reno. Here's some of the areas of the closet that we wanted to address during this project. We had gaps along the corners where the PAX units met the walls that we wanted to trim out and make look seamless. And then we also still had to trim out the door and paint a few spots on the door just for a touch-up. We also had a few spots on the PAX units that got damaged just from us moving the units in and out during the renovation. So we're gonna add trim over these and some caulking just to fill these in. And then we also had all the areas where the PAX units met each other. We're gonna put trim in front of these just to make them look seamless. And finally, we had to add baseboards at all the floor areas just to finish that off. I started off by getting measurements. All the trim for this project is going to be custom just so that it could fit over the PAX units. So I figured out lengths and widths of all the areas where I was going to put trim and made a list, and then I could go to my shop and cut these out of MDF flat stock mold. I used my table saw to cut all the moldings to width. Where I was covering the areas where the PAX units met, I had about a 1/16 of an inch of overlap on either side, so I added an 1/8 of an inch to my width measurements. I used my miter saw in the shop to cut some of my miter angles for my corners, as well as cut all the pieces to their rough lengths, making them a little bit on the large side, allowing me to cut them to the exact length when I'm in the house. For the moldings that I was making that would cover the seams of the PAX units where the 2 PAX units met, I added a radius to the edge that I cut just to match the factory radius that came on the uncut edge of the MDF moldings. I used my router table with 1/8 of an inch roundover bit to create these radiuses.
If you don't have access to a router table, you could definitely sand these in by hand because it is a very small radius. The router table just gives you more control and more consistent radius on those pieces. The next step was to give everything a light sand and move any of the saw blade marks and get these pieces ready for primer. I gave all the moldings a quick coat of primer when I was in the shop, just to help speed up the painting process when I had them actually installed in the closet. With the primer dry, I went back to the closet and I got exact measurements and I started cutting all my moldings to length. I just used a hand miter saw that I got from my grandpa to do all these cuts and it works great. I like to get all my baseboard moldings cut and put in place to make sure everything fits nicely and the miters and corners join up nice before I start nailing them in. This cordless brad nailer was really a game changer. Before this, I would use my air compressor and have to drag air lines all around, so this really made doing trim work a lot easier, and I'll include a link for it in the description below. The way I go about installing the baseboards is to use my brad nailer to secure it to the wall, and I'll use a little bit of the DAP construction adhesive to glue in the corners because I find this helps to prevent any cracking or minimize it in the future. Once all the baseboards were installed, I finished out trimming the door, and then I could move on with a custom trim for the PAX units. Installing the trim on the PAX units didn't differ much from the floor. I started by installing all the horizontal pieces on the top and then moved on to the vertical pieces on the PAX unit seams. I made sure I used a little bit of glue wherever these joints met just to make sure that there was no cracking in the future. We have all the moldings up, and I'm just gonna kind of go over some of the products that I'm using to get all these moldings finished and looking great. So the first part that I did was I used DAP's heavy duty construction adhesive, and I just like using these in all my miters, and then if like in all my corners, and then like for here I had a piece where I spliced together. That way if there is any movement in the house, it's likely not gonna crack, and it gives you a nice smooth surface once it's puttied and painted. So that's DAP's heavy duty construction adhesive. Once all your moldings are installed and the glue is set, then I'll go and get all the nail holes with DAP's dry decked spackling. And what I like about this stuff is it goes on pink, and once it's dry it's white, so then you know it's ready to sand. So I just use that and a putty knife, and then I'll get all the little pinholes from my brad nails where I attach the molding to the wall or to the closet pieces. And the final step that I do to get everything ready for paint is I use DAP's Extreme Stretch Caulking. So where I'll use this is where moldings meet the wall, and then it fills any gaps, or like the baseboards against the wall, you can get the ends. Sometimes your baseboards aren't 100% true, so this will fill in all those gaps and get you ready for paint. This stuff works really good. We've used it a bunch around the house and we've never had issues, and it always finishes off the moldings really well. It's paintable and it's really easy to work with. It just cleans up with water. So next step is to putty some nail holes. For filling all the nail holes in any of the areas that you mitered, I just use the spackling with a putty knife, and I leave it a little bit on the thick side so that I can sand it down to a smooth finish. If you find any nails that are sticking out, you can just take a punch and a hammer to push those in so that you can putty the holes and get a nice smooth finish. While the spackling dries, I grab the caulking and I just go along all the trim to fill any of the gaps. What I find works best is to have a little bowl of water nearby and to make your finger wet, and to just drag your finger along as you place the caulking to remove any of the excess, and you can just wipe this on a paper towel. Once the spackling is dry, I grab a sanding pad and some sanding paper and begin smoothing everything down. I keep a vacuum really close by, and this really minimizes the dust, and in our case, I got away with not emptying the whole closet.
So the molding is all installed. I did a quick priming. I'm not going to show that on the video because it's boring, and I didn't prime all the spots, only spots where I sanded through to like the bare MDF. And now it's ready for paint. Probably going to take about 2 coats, and I'll kind of show you what the finish looks like before we start painting. So these are pieces of the MDF. So you can see here I actually spliced 2 together, but I got it nice and smooth, and once you get paint on that, you'll never even notice. And then same at the tops where we joined the 2 pieces together. I got it so that it looks like it all flows in one piece. So everything's coming together nicely, and the next step is just some paint. Painting actually was really easy. We just cut all the edges with a brush and then just used a small little 4-inch roller to do all the flat faces. Closet is officially done.
It's done. We have baseboards.
We have baseboards.
They look
Ta-da!
really good.
And you don't see the seams now on the closets. This is all continuous.
So
It
nicely
fills there.
painted.
Where I dropped it,
There was
it's
2
gone.
separate cabinet lines. There was like a line right in the middle here before you added this.
Where I had a big nick in it, it's covered now.
Yes.
This is all continuous. Matches into the door, there's no gap, so. Got an outlet cover.
Just
And
the baseboards
even
make
here.
such a huge difference.
Yeah,
Like,
I find like even filling the gap over here, like it just finishes it
yeah,
off so
caulking
nice.
the edges.
So would you, it was worth the wait?
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, I was hoping you'd say yes and be like, oh good, I don't have to do, I can wait
We
6
could have done this
months.
6 months ago.
There's a couple days of work.
It was worth it. It's worth doing it for sure.
100%, it makes it look a lot more built in.
Makes such a difference in the
It's just all
visual.
custom, right? Because all the moldings I had to cut to size.
Yeah,
but
it's a lot of finicky work, but good job. One step closer to a finished bedroom.
we made this all continuous along here so that before it had like in and outs from the different cabinets, and then I did the same height into the baseboard here, so everything looks seamless, which is nice.
Looks good. Great job, hun.
Thank you.
We have lots of space, lots of closet room.
Yeah,
Happy.
IKEA PAX units for the win.
Yes, always. Oh, I keep looking at you instead of us.
That's okay. It's hard not to look at me because I'm so handsome.
Okay.
Once I was done, Lindy worked her magic to organize all our clothes. She color coordinated everything and it looks great. Lucky for me, I don't have a lot of colors, so this should be an easy system to follow. Adding the trim and caulking everything really finished off the space. It gave the closet a really custom look. The nice thing about this project is that the PAX units themselves are very affordable and you have a lot of options for your spaces, and the trim is really easy to install, and all this gives you a really high-end look and finish once you're done. And because everyone likes to know budget, here's the full breakdown on what we spent to make this closet. So the actual PAX units and all the drawers and shelves, that was about $1,000. And in regards to caulking, adhesives, and spackling, that was $35. We spent about $75 on molding, about $100 on paint. The shelf board for making the extra cubby was about $65, and then just some miscellaneous items like glue, sandpaper, nail, and screws, we spent about $25. So all in, we're about $1,300 for this, and I think that's a really good deal considering all the extra storage and organization it gives you. If you were to get custom built units, you'd be paying probably triple this price. So we're really happy with how the budget ended out.
What did you guys think? I hope that you guys enjoyed that video. Like I said, super easy to take these PAX wardrobes from IKEA to high end.
The nice thing about this too is you still have your base PAX units. So if you want to change configurations of how your bars are, or if you want to add baskets or drawers, you definitely can in the future.
We are super happy with the results. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss out on future DIY and home renovation videos.
Thanks so much for watching.